Hey y'all, it's Stacy with SouthernBite.com. Welcome back to the kitchen. Let me show you how easy it is to make what I call the best Southern pecan pie. To start, I've got a large bowl here and I'm adding 3 room temperature eggs there. And I'm just gonna give myself a little bit of a head start and kind of whisk these together a touch. Next, I've got 1 cup of firmly packed light brown sugar. And to that, I'm gonna add 1 cup of corn syrup. Now, I prefer a light corn syrup, but a dark corn syrup will also work. And one trick that I can show you is that anytime that you have a recipe that calls for something sticky like honey or corn syrup that also has some type of fat, in this case, we're gonna add a little butter, you can actually spray whatever you're measuring that sticky stuff in with a little nonstick cooking spray. So I'm gonna spritz my cup there with that, and that's gonna make it a little bit easier to get all of that out. So 1 cup of corn syrup. Again, either the light or the dark will work just fine. And then that cooking spray just makes it a little bit easier to get all of that out of our measuring vessel there. I'm just gonna whisk this together. To this, I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter that I've melted, but then also let get to room temperature, just because we don't want to scramble eggs. I've also got 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract or vanilla flavoring. Either one will work just fine. And I've got 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour. Now for me, this is the trick that kind of helps that filling set. You know, one of the things that I hear often from people is that for whatever reason, their pie filling doesn't sit. So adding a little flour in there is gonna help that thicken up. You can also swap that 1 tablespoon of flour for 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. And what happens is it just kind of, the starch in that just kind of helps that thicken up. Once we've got that all combined, I'm gonna add 2 cups of pecans. Now I like to use either a small whole pecan half or large pieces, but 2 cups of pecans across the board anyway will work. Once we got that all combined here, I've got a 9-inch deep dish pie crust. Now I took the easy way out and I bought a frozen crust just because it's easy, but also because I'm gonna show you a trick with this too once it's done. If you want to use a homemade crust or use those great pie crusts that you unroll and put in your own pie plate, that's great too. This is gonna go in a 350-degree oven for 50 to 60 minutes. Now watch this, because oftentimes it'll get too brown on the top because of all the sugar that's in this. Once it sets, you can actually tint it with a little aluminum foil, and that will help keep it from getting too brown. And I've got one in the oven already done here. And I like to put these on a sheet pan just in case they overflow a little bit, because of course it's a whole lot easier to clean this pan than it is the bottom of your oven. Now the other reason that I love these aluminum pie pans is that the other struggle with pie in general is getting that first piece out. Well, what you can do is if you didn't use a great, expensive, nice pan, if you've got one of these cheap aluminum pans, you can actually use some kitchen shears and snip the edge of that pan just like that, pull that down, and you can get that first slice of pie out quickly and easily and cleanly. That way everything's not a mess. Folks, you can find this full recipe by heading over to the website at SouthernBite.com. There's a Simply Southern TV section right on the homepage so that you can find these recipes quickly and easily. Y'all enjoy.
Stacy, you had me at pecan pie.
Isn't that the truth? You never have to worry about showing up to a potluck with a pecan pie, because even if 2 or 3 people had that same idea, there probably won't be leftovers. Also, how'd you like that tip about using cooking spray to measure syrup? Who knew?
Stacy is definitely a wealth of kitchen knowledge. And here's another tip for you. If you want your pecan pie to really stand out, start with Alabama's best, Priester's. We thank the folks at Priester's Pecans for sponsoring today's recipe.
And thanks to all of you for joining us today for Simply Southern. Be sure to stop by next week as Fred Hunter hops aboard a shrimp boat for an inside look at a staple of Alabama's seafood industry.
And if beef prices have caused you to do a double take while out shopping, we'll get the lowdown from an Alabama rancher. I'm Kevin Worthington.
And I'm Mary Wilson. We'll see you then.